What up, YouTube? I'm back at it again, and today I really wanted to talk about this last problem of this SAT math question. So I was looking at it earlier, and I thought it was an interesting question. It's challenging, it's short, and it's a question that I think should be fun to solve. And so, without much ado, let's jump right into it. So we have this quadratic equation here. We have x squared minus 34x plus c is equal to 0. And the question asks, in the given equation, c is a constant. The equation has no real solutions if c is greater than n. What is the least possible value of n? So typically, in the at least in algebra or algebra 2, whenever you have a quadratic equation that you don't see any simple way to FOIL, there's this equation that can be used to solve these sort of problems. And this equation typically, I think, is b plus or minus, and then you have the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And typically this is the equation that can be used to find your x's when you don't see a simple way or a way to FOIL the equation and set the equations equal to, whatever, set it equal to 0 and so for your x's. If that doesn't, if you don't see a simple way out, this is typically the way to go about it. And so from what this question is asking, it says that, at least the second sentence is saying that the equation has no real solutions if c is greater than n. What is the least possible value of n? So essentially, we're more interested in this region of the problem, in this region of the equation, I should say, because for this side of the equation, if whatever is in the radical or the square root turns out to be negative, then the equation is not going to have real solutions. And so the real question we need to be asking ourselves is, what can the value of c be? Or, what is the last value of c? At which point, if we cross, then the whatever value that results from from under the radical, from under the square root of sign, would be negative, or would not be negative, I guess. So we can probably just focus on that section of the equation, since none of these areas is of interest. This is the only part that would contribute to whether the solution comes out to be real or imaginary. And so let's focus on that. We can take that section of the equation, so 4ac, we can take that equation and even set it equal to 0. We can set it equal to 0, right? If we set it equal to 0, all we're saying is that we need this value here, this 4ac, to be an equal value to whatever this b squared is. So essentially that's what we're saying. So what we can probably just do, we can get rid of the square root, because if we square both sides of the equation, 0 squared will still be 0, and so we can get rid of that, and we'll have b squared for a c is equal to 0. We already know what b is and a is. So a is going to be 1, b is going to be 34. So we can plug those in and begin solving for this equation, or solving the equation. We get 34 squared for 4 times 1, since a is 1. So this, whatever this coefficient is for the first, for the x squared, that'll be a, and then whatever coefficient that is in front of the, or at least the coefficient besides the x would be b, and then we have to c, and so 34 would be b, and then we'll have to c, and then we can set all this equal to 0 as we had previously. And so this is what we have, and squaring our 34, we get 34 squared. So 34 squared is going to give us 1156. Then we're going to have 4c, and set this equal to 0. So solving for c, we're going to have 1156 is equal to 4c on this side. We just moved the 4c to the right side of the equal sign. So solving for c, we could just divide both sides of the equal sign by 4. And we end up with c is equal to, c will just be that divided by 4, which would give us 289. So 289, going back to this problem, so what is the least possible value of n? So it has to be, n has to be 289. 289. Equation. Yep, so n is 289. Now, if in the scenario that c is bigger than, c is greater than 289, the equation will not have any real solutions, because the 4ac component of the equation will be bigger than the b squared, which will result in a negative value under the radical, giving us an imaginary number. And so this is the solution. And if you guys have any questions, do make sure to post them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, do make sure to hit the thumbs up, give it a like. And if you have any other questions also, I mean, like I said, shoot them. Don't be shy. Just shoot them in the comment section. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you.